Good evening and welcome to Portland Metro Records presents Off the Record. Today, I've actually got one of my favorite people. We haven't seen each other in a long time. His name is Austin Randle. Great to see you, Austin.
Good to see you too, Rob.
So we met actually, has it been 5 or 6 years?
Probably about 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. He was the guitar man at 5 Star Guitars. There are a lot of guitar men at 5 Star Guitars, but there's only one Austin Randle. So thank you for coming into the studio today.
Thank you.
And we got a lot to talk about, man. You've got a busy summer.
Yeah.
Because, obviously you're a performance artist, you're a songwriter, singer, and then you've also got your Rock Academy that you're running, and you're doing some stuff for the city of Hillsborough as well for the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, let's dive right in. Tell me what's going on this summer. What you been up to?
Yeah, it seems like every minute is booked this summer. So, so I run Rock Academy. That's a year-round camp where basically I get students together to form a band.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like it's kind of like the next level of music lessons. You know, you can go and take drum lessons week after week after week to your half hour, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But do you get the full exposure of what you're really aiming toward, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing in this room with another drummer by ourselves? What do we do with this drum skill, you know? And so that's where I come in with the answer. I go, hey, check this out. We're going to put you in a band. You know, every week we have a lesson, but we also have a separate rehearsal. It's an hour and a half.
That's awesome.
You know, and so I'm running a few Rock Academy groups right now. At first I had them young kids, like 11 to 14. You know, and they were all kind of into Metallica, so I had like this
Sure. Why wouldn't they?
that kind of thing going on.
Yep.
And then I had some older kids who were more into funk and blues and being like kind of living in that improvise, be loose, no structure realm. You know, a jam band, you might say. You know, and then I had these adults, and it was kind of my 21 and up Rock Academy, where you know we'd drink a beer and Rock Academy and just kind of keep it loose. You know. And then the adults, you know, they got to choose their focus a little more. So, like, what songs really get you excited about playing and whatnot. So, anyway, I've been so swamped with Rock Academy and then doing private lessons on the side. Somehow I managed to fit in another summer camp for Hillsborough Parks and Rec called Camp Amp. This is our 10th year doing it. And it's just a 2-week program where some kids come in playing okay, but most of them come in with very minimal experience and exposure to actually playing an instrument, or especially playing in a band. Yeah. So in a 2-week period, we get them from pretty much not playing to playing on a stage with a light show, a sound crew, with a band, playing 2 or 3 songs, and they're all classics. And some of them
it's
are
full
super
production.
Yeah, exactly. And the bands that do really, really well have the opportunity to make an original song with me.
Oh, cool.
So we've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Right on.
Pretty great.
Right on.
Later in August, I'm actually going to go to the JP Guitar Universe, which is John Petrucci's adult rock and roll camp.
Ah, so you get to be the rock and roll
Exactly. I get to trade seats there for a little bit, put on the other hat. And that's with Tosin Abasi from Animals as leaders, and Rusty Cooley, Andy McKee, the acoustic guru. Anyway, so that'll be a crazy experience for me. As far as like shows go, amidst all this, I'm also playing a ton of gigs, you know, being hired out for bands left and right. I've got some solo gigs coming up. One of them is at the Walters Cultural Arts Center in Hillsborough, which is just a beautiful, beautiful venue. That's on August 1st. Let's see, You got
Grand Lodge on the 17th.
Yes, Grand Lodge on the 17th. That's with Mike Soto and Gail Ritt. Their little 23 window project.
Those folks are a blast.
Yeah, very nice people, like some of the nicest people.
And they make a nice pizza.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Check out Pizzeria, you know, Mike owns Pizzeria, and he's doing a great job. I know a lot of those vegetables come from his own home garden. He's really taking personal pride and care and making sure he's delivering.
And then on the 18th, you're over at Shoot Park, correct?
Yeah, so Rock Academy and all my private students are going to get together for a 5-hour concert at Shoot Park on a Friday evening, August 18th. And then the big one coming up is with the Aloha Community Farmers Market, and that's August 24th.
That'll be nice.
And that'll be with, you know, Portland Metro Records kind of hosting the stage there.
That's a neat experience. Yeah. A lot of neat people there. So.
I look forward to it. That's actually pretty much the only farmers market I haven't played at yet. So
yeah,
tap that one.
That's the only one I have played,
Oh yeah.
and it's been a blast every single time. And yeah, Shane and Kira, they put a really nice show together out there for you. It's all nice and covered and nice little PA and everything, and then the grub's out there. So
There you go. It seems like every other place I play, I've got to bring everything. You know, if you want a tent, bring the tent. You know, if you need tables or anything, you got to bring it all. PA system. Oh, you wanted a mic? You got to bring it.
So what inspired you to get into teaching kids? Was it a love of teaching, or was it just wanting to work with kids, or what brought you to that point?
So I'd have to rewind back pretty far and think about when I really first started taking music seriously, which was when I was about 10 or 11 years old. I got my first guitar when I was 6, and I learned a couple little riffs, like the intro to When the Children Cry, Crazy Train, you know, just like the riffs of my favorite Metallica songs, things like that, you know. And then I just had this idea that I wanted the whole world to hear me playing, and I put my amplifier up in my window one day when I was like 10 or 11, and
woke up the neighbors.
Lo and behold, one of my neighbors, who was around my age, he's a couple years older, he like ran up to the fence, you know, between us and was like, "Hey, I play guitar too," you know. And so he knew Metallica songs I didn't know, and I knew Metallica songs he didn't know, and so we just started showing each other.
Okay.
And then it kind of spread that way, where if our friends came over, you know, instead of playing video games, a lot of our friends would start to pick up interest in playing guitar, you know, or maybe we had a drum set in the corner, they'd try the drums and whatnot.
Nice.
So we all would just kind of rotate and share all of our knowledge with one another, so it was pretty natural.
That's cool.
And when I was putting bands together in high school, we were never playing a whole ton of covers. It was mostly original music. So that meant I really had to show people because there's no reference, you know, or I'd have to tab it out and teach them how to read tab and things like that. So I've kind of been mentoring and teaching for a long time, and it wasn't until I was really hurting for money in college, and I was like, man, I really need a job. And then someone goes, you know, I'll give you money if you teach me how to play guitar. Ding, light bulb. I was like, oh, you know what? I could show people how to play guitar. You
there
know?
you go.
Ask me a question. I could probably answer this. And actually, Ron Hurst from Steppenwolf, he gave me my first big opportunity. He said, hey, we know each other through some interesting circumstances, but one day he called me and goes, hey, you know, I need a guitar teacher to come down to my shop and work with some people. And to me, like having Ron Hurst, you know, from such a big band.
Tap you on the shoulder, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He'd go, hey, you can do this. You know, he was just like fully believed in me. He had me come down and meet the owner of the shop, and the very next day I was booking lessons, you know.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I had a full schedule that my friends over at 5-Star Guitars, you know, this is when Ken Potter was the owner, you know. He goes, you know, Austin, I was selling guitars for them by day, and then in the evening I'm renting a lesson studio and doing that. And then as I would sell guitars, you know, clients, you know, customers would be like, man, I really want to learn guitar from you. I heard you play already. You know what I mean? And kind of develop that relationship as I'm selling them a guitar.
Sure.
And eventually Ken just goes, you know what? Let's give you a room. Let's try it out. You know, see how it goes. And he was like, yeah, you know, bring your clients on over here, which obviously is good for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, went over to 5-Star full time, and then I was there for years. I think almost 6 years, and then last year my program started to get really big, and I started to have other ideas. You know, I was like, man, I don't want to just do private lessons, because I feel like that's just half of it. I really want to put people in bands and give them the full experience of why we're working in this room on what we're doing. Why am I talking about dynamics, you know, and why am I talking about rhythm and this and that, and then you put them in the band and all that stuff starts to click. They go, oh, this is why I'm working on these.
Yeah, and you watch now, like 10 years from now, one of these bands is going to hit.
Yeah.
And you'll be the blame.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I don't want to ride anybody's coattails or anything, you know. Like, I've seen that where a student gets successful, you know, and the teacher kind of like rolls with that, which, I mean, obviously I'm going to support them and maybe brag, but I'm not going to put it like on my business card or anything.
You never know, man. I mean, like, I remember when I was, oh gosh, about 16, I started getting really interested in guitar, and the movie Crossroads had come out. Not the Britney Spears
Ralph
Crossroads.
Macchio.
We're talking Ralph Macchio.
Yeah.
And there was this guitar player from hell, and it was Steve Vai.
Yeah.
And it just so happened I went out and bought it. I went out the next day and found a guitar magazine, and he's on the cover, and he's talking about this guy who taught him, who's kind of a big deal, and his name was his name was Joe Satriani.
Yep.
And he said, yeah, there's this other guy named Kirk Hammett who's going to be really good. Joe Satriani and Kirk Hammett, he said, you need to remember those names.
Yeah.
And turns out Joe was their teacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
He taught Vi and he taught Hammett.
So Satriani is my favorite guitarist.
Yeah.
And he really has been the biggest inspiration for me.
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
His way around the fingerboard is incredible, you know, and his way with rhythm is so alien. It's amazing, you know. He's not just always like rigid 16th notes or, you know, six tuplets or anything like that. He's very loose and free, but really takes melodies and makes you feel with them, you know, no words needed.
Well, and the way he uses a tremolo, like you could, when I first heard him and I first heard Vi, it was like, you could see they were similar players, but that's about it. They really are completely different animals.
Definitely so. Definitely
And
so.
their styles are completely different. Tones are completely different.
Absolutely.
And Satriani was just a mind blower when I was, you know, 17, 18 years old. When I think Surfing with the Alien came out when I was 18.
Yeah.
And that was like a whole other world.
You know, speaking of Surfing with the Alien, Always With Me, Always With You, and Midnight are like requirements for my students.
Oh,
you
wow.
know, play these songs and it'll take you so far, you know.
Yep.
Nowadays, like you get online and there's so many incredible players, you know, and I see they're really young too. You know, a lot of young people out there, really all ages. But I see these really young players, like 12, 13 years old. They're just monsters, and I'm thinking about that, like, man, how do I compete with some of these little kids? You know, and I think about it, man, they've got YouTube, they've got the internet, you know, and this amazing resource that really didn't exist, you know.
Yeah, back then there was Metal Method you could get by mail.
Yeah.
And that's still
Kurt
a thing,
Mitchell,
I think.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there was Wolf Marshall. And then there, in the back of the Guitar World magazines, you had those instructional VHS tapes. Oh, you could get them in beta, too.
Yeah. I remember a close friend of my family was a guitar player. He had these sweet Les Pauls and all these things. I just remember being a kid walking in and just being like jaw to the floor.
Guitar heaven,
like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you have these. And he had pictures of him with Slash and Zakk Wylde on the wall, things like that.
Wow.
And they're just holding their Les Pauls. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the dream right there. And then he showed me a set of VHS tapes that I had never seen before. They all had Japanese subtitles on them. You know, some of them were like Yngwie Malmsteen, Marty Friedman, Jason Becker, and then the one that resonated the most was Zakk Wylde.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got to see his picking and all that.
Back when Zach was just a kid. When
Yeah,
he was a skinny little beanpole.
Yeah, no beard or anything,
Yeah.
you know. So I actually got to meet him at GC pretty recently here. It was like in and out, but it was cool just to be in his presence and
Oh, yeah.
take a photo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you've got a project you're starting to put together now of original music, and you're actually be playing one of those songs here in a little while.
Yeah.
What kind of sound are we going for?
So I want to tie progressive music in with hard rock music, but I want it to also have the comfort of kind of a pop melody. So it's instantly catchy and singable and relatable. I don't want to play music that's so far out there you have to listen to it 20 times to really pick up what was the melody or the theme. You know, some tunes are like that. And there's times where I'm really, really progressive with something, you know, and I know this is a reach. Not everyone's going to be into this.
That's
you know?
okay.
But then you get to the bridge, and it just has this impactful melody. You know?
I think every band that was meaningful had one or two of those songs on each record they did. The Beatles did it. The Stones did it.
Absolutely.
They didn't really care if the audience got it. It was their song.
Exactly, and that's kind of how I'm approaching this whole thing. Is if it inspires me, I think it'll inspire other people a lot more easily.
That's great.
You know?
And then, have you tapped any players yet?
You know, I've got some friends in the area that have volunteered to come and drum for me, for hire, of course. You know, the hard part is how do you get fantastic players to come to a bunch of rehearsals? You know, if your budget can't afford all of their time. You know, but I've got some close friends that are great players. Kyle Mewson, he's always my top. I don't know if you ever met him. This guy is amazing. He's up in Seattle right now, so it's kind of a reach. But then there's Brighton Wilson. I've been talking to him online, seeing what he's up to. He's in a band called Dead Crown.
Nice.
He's just phenomenal. These guys are insane. a while back, I tapped Mike Byrne. Do you know him? He plays with Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, okay.
Or he did until a little bit ago.
Yeah.
He's one of the best drummers I've ever seen in person. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'd love to come record your tracks. So I do have a list of drummers, that I can call and
That's
bring
cool.
in, Right now, I've just been working on my own proficiency. So everything that I'm recording is just me, I was inspired by, Lenny Kravitz, who was able to go make a whole CD where basically he's doing every single aspect that you're hearing, And then earlier before we started shooting, I was talking about having my own home recording studio, makes it a little easier too. Take your time, really dialing things in instead of forking out tons and tons of money, My whole thought is release a bunch of acoustic tracks and then find a band to come in and revise all these tracks and put them in, a 5-piece kind of scenario.
There you go. That'll come together.
Yeah.
Well, and you'd be surprised. My first band was called Little Bastard.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had met you when that first came out.
I saw your flyers.
Yeah. So that whole album was put together on favors.
Yeah.
And the way it came together was Brud Giles, he was the studio owner of Fremont Studios. He's also a fantastic drummer. We had become good friends. He used to play in Catherine Lawyer's band, Strawberry Roan.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "Guy, I really want to record." And he goes, "I happen to have a studio, and I'll charge you $20 an hour,"
That's
which at that time was, was great. I said, "Well, I don't have a drummer." And he goes, "For a fifth of Jack and a 2-liter of Coke, you'll have a drummer."
Oh, there you go.
So get that done. I lay down the acoustic tracks, the vocals. The next thing that needed to be done was lead guitar work, and I was not a lead guitar player. I wasn't anywhere near that. And my old guitar teacher, Davin Carton, said, "Hey, man, I need help moving my bed. Tell you what, I'll move your bed if you don't mind laying down some lead guitar tracks."
Yeah.
So went over to his place, moved his bed, and I sent him the tracks, and he emailed them back with lead guitar.
Man, he's a great player too, actually.
Yeah.
I've seen him a lot of times.
And it was funny because I recorded the acoustic tracks at Davin's place in his house. He had a little condo in downtown Portland that overlooked the skyline. It was a gorgeous setting. And I was so nervous because Davin's such a tremendous player.
Yeah.
I got sick right when I got downstairs after we were all done recording.
Yeah.
But everything was done on favors. And then Robert Finn, another great bass player, he actually laid down the bass lines for me, and all I had to do was buy him dinner.
There you go.
And then Catherine Lawyer sang backup on a track, and all I had to do was buy her dinner. So by the time it was all done, I think I spent $600 on the whole thing.
That's pretty good. That's hard to come by. So my last big recording that I had done was with Stephen Hawks out in Portland at Interlace Audio.
Nice.
And I got Kyle Musin to come drum on it, like I had mentioned earlier. He's a fantastic drummer. We did it in his basement. Stephen Hawks had this studio just in his parents' basement.
Wow.
His parents had moved out, and actually we got fantastic results.
Yeah.
In the middle of recording, he actually picked up a lease at this really cool facility. It's right across the street from the Rose Garden, and it already had like a vocal booth in it and all this stuff, and hardwood floors. It's beautiful. So the way I became a singer was I had written all these lyrics and melodies, but we actually had a singer, a fantastic guy named Joshua Duchesne.
Mm-hmm.
And the day of recording, we had already paid for it, and Josh calls me. He goes, "I can't get out of Salem. I'm not coming up." And I look at Stephen, and Stephen's like, "Well, I guess you're the singer." And I was like, "Oh no." And some PBRs later, I was the singer.
There you go.
And here we are going with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it is really awesome to see you here. Glad we finally got you in here. You got a beautiful Tacoma guitar. You're going to be lighting up here in just a little bit. And what are you going to be playing for us?
So here's a song I wrote a little bit ago called Life in Edit. The name has nothing really to do with the song. It was just a joke when we were recording it in the studio. We made a mistake and just, hit erase. All right, let's bring this take later in the song back, and we'll just use that one because it's the same thing. Copy, paste, crossfade, excellent. edit over, you know, and I was like, man, if only life was this way,
No
that'd be
kidding.
great. Could you imagine? I looked around, I was like, could you guys imagine life in edit? You know, in edit mode, and it just kind of stuck, and we're like, well, let's just call this song that, Life in Edit, and then it was supposed to be called Stay, you know, because that's kind of like the main set of lyrics in there.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, looking forward to hearing it. And again, thank you for coming in, Austin. It's really nice to finally see you again. It's been way too damn long for us.
I know, it's been a little while.
I'm Rob Wessels with Portland Metro Records presents Off the Record, and you guys are going to hear Austin Randle in just a few minutes. Be good to each other. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Austin Randle.
Like this wound, let it heal and bind. The lies we breathe, well, they saturate. Pretend I'm well now, and then all is fine. We've done our best, yeah. And so we say goodbye, and we'll say goodbye. I'll never see your face again. Yeah, we'll say goodbye, and we'll say goodbye, and I'll never see your face again. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. I'm sure we'll be alright. Like this wound, heal and bind the lies we breathe. They saturate with time, pretend I'm well, and all is fine. We've done our best, so say goodbye and I'll see you. Excuse me while I crawl my way out. Allow me to drift away. You can't stay with me. No, turn the lights out. Don't hate me. I'm sure we'll be alright. And I would wait for you, but you're so damn something else. So please don't wait for me. I'm sure we'll be alright. Well, I've promised you I'm on your side, so stop challenging. Trust my lies, save your time, spare me mine. We've done I would wait for you, but you're so damn something else. So please don't wait for me. You will be alright. I would wait for you. No, when we turn the lights out, please don't hate me. You will be alright. I would wait for you, but we're so damn something else. So please don't wait for me. You will be alright. Will you stay with me? We can save this life now, and I will change with you. You will be alright. Won't you stay? We can save our life now, and I will change with you. You will be alright. If it's a tech geek or a big freak or design